Whose is this again?
Grieg. The Grieg. Oh, is this going now?
Yes, it's going.
Oh, the Grieg Piano Sonata.
Edvard
Grieg. Slow movement. Shall I start?
Sure, if you feel like it. It's nice. I hadn't heard that before.
It's not played all that often. It's not the rest of it's a very, it has a nice Norwegian sound, I think. But it's not played all that very often. That sonata. He wrote mostly short things, short pieces instead of that would be a fairly big extended work, for piano.
Mm-hmm.
Now let's see, how about, I might be able to play this, two pieces by Rameau.
Okay.
The Musette en Rondo, it's a little rondo, it's called a musette, which is like a bagpipe.
Mm-hmm.
And then the roll, le rappel des oiseaux, the roll call of the birds.
Okay, let me get this reset real quick.
Oh, okay.
Okay. something.
Well, I got mixed up in the second half of it, the birds. I don't know what flock of birds, I can't think of it, even the, well, it was written for harpsichord, you know, that piece. So it's not, it has more snap and glitter, the harpsichord.
So how often have you played that?
That piece? Oh, quite often. I had a program of French music, and that was always the first thing on the program. It's old, you know, it's from the time of Bach, so it's a Baroque piece. But the French wrote all those little descriptive pieces, character pieces. Rameau and Couperin, they wrote about everyday things. Oh, and like the sower or the reapers and the bird, the frightened bird, and the nightingale in love, and the Cyclops. Rameau wrote something called Cyclops. So this is this is from the suite, which is kind of famous. And Rameau, though, it works out to be better on the piano than Couperin, because it's, why is that? Let's see. The texture is more, it's more suited to the piano. The Couperin pieces are really harpsichord. They're very they're laden with embellishments. It makes it difficult. The piano immediately starts sounding so massive when you have to play rapidly, those little notes. But let me see now, I don't know what else to play.
Are you playing any of that Debussy lately?
Well, I was looking at this, but I can't, I haven't played it for so long, this Gardens in the Rain. I was thinking of learning this whole suite, Pagodas, and then Evening in Granada, and Gardens in the Rain. I've played that one, Gardens in the Rain. But, I don't know. I can't even know what actually. There's nothing there.
Do you remember any of those pieces that I was working on that I was terrorizing?
The Bartok things, maybe?
That and there was some, there was a Bach, some
Oh, the little
that I was
Bach
doing, yeah.
pieces.
That way I can have a recording of it the way it's supposed to be played.
Oh, well, I can see, I'd have to look at the music, but I don't think I've got that right up here.
Maybe I'll bring those with me sometime. I don't even remember what they were now. It's been so long since I messed with them.
Oh, I know this one was,
Yeah, that one.
that one, a guitar.
Mine always comes out sounding like a bull in a china shop.
Oh, did you ever try it on guitar? Would that work? All right? It's a lute. It's a lute piece. Let me see.
Do you remember that one?
Oh, not all the way through. I mean, I just, you know, it's just a minute here.
Well, I'll bring those.
Where did I do see? Second book.
You know, do you have Moonlight Sonata memorized?
Oh, this is the first movement. I mean,
Yeah, that was always something that I wanted to have a whack at too. It'd be nice to have that.
let's see, I think the music is here. Where's the? This is volume, this is the 3-volume. There is Moonlight Sonata.
So what's the story behind that one?
I don't know, Beethoven didn't name it. Somebody else did, the publisher. People like the idea of music describing something, so to sell it, they gave names to different sonatas. But it was it's dedicated to Countess Guicciardi, who was said to be Beethoven's, he wrote in his diary about an immortal beloved, but nobody knows who that was, but some people think it was this woman, the Countess, the Italian Countess. But he never did. It's a point of confusion.
Did you ever see that movie called Immortal Beloved?
No,
I'll have to bring that over sometime, see what you think.
Oh, those music movies are,
Notoriously bad.
well, they're I don't know. They're, as movies, they could be. There's one on Chopin. I don't know if you ever saw that. Called A Song to Remember.
Really? I haven't heard of that one.
Cornell Wilde, you know that name? Oh, he was the stuff, matinee idol, Cornell Wilde. But let's see, I was in high school when that was played all over. Meryl Oberon, do you know that name?
That name sounds familiar.
She was George Sand in that movie. I forgot who Franz Liszt was. They were all in it, though, those people. And it was about Chopin's patriotism. And so on. But there was a famous pianist, a young pianist in the United States. His name was Dalis Franz. He was a Scandinavian, I don't know, Danish or something, Swedish. Blonde, very athletic. He won a medal in the swimming Olympics. That's how good he was at that. But he won all the prizes in piano. And so they thought, here's someone, we'll have him star in this movie. He'll be Chopin. And but he became ill. He had two conditions. The cure for one was bad for the other one. Anemia and diabetes or something like that. So he couldn't do that, so they got Cornell Wilde, and I think Jose Turbi played the piano. But had they had this man, he could have played.
And then everything,
And so he became a very influential teacher at the University of Texas. And he had lots of famous students. They're about on retirement now, those people. And Dalis Franz died, of course, but he didn't play much. I never heard him play, and he used to play and tour, but I think became too ill. Then he settled into teaching. He was a very severe teacher, though, frightening. There's a woman in Kansas who studied with him.
Really?
Hutchinson. She taught at the community college there, but I've forgotten her name. Do you know people there? Yeah, she studied with Dalis Franz.
So when did you start playing?
Oh, I was 14. I was very old.
So what made you start? Did you play some other instruments before that?
Yes, I played the accordion as a child, but not in. But then I didn't keep that up. But
So at 14, what made you want to start playing piano?
I wanted to play music. I had a terrible urge to play music, so we couldn't afford all of that, so I paid it all myself. I bought my own piano. I cut the lawns around in Afton, Missouri, and bought the piano. and wore out that piano. I practiced a lot.
How many hours do you think you put in
Oh, I was about
a day? You know, when you're a kid, daily.
Oh, you know, when I was in high school, maybe two
Yeah.
or three. I never did practice hours and hours like people do, I guess. I should have done that, but
Did it come easy?
at first, yeah. I had always had good fingers.
And reading and everything? Had you had any experience reading before?
Oh, no, reading was no good. I wasn't used to the bass clef. Or at least, you know, not chords, not a piano bass clef, all that. Not only that, but my left hand wouldn't play that stuff anyway. Now, the right was much better than the left. Of course, I'm right-handed as well. So that was a definite weak link.
So did you start taking lessons right away when you started, or did you?
Oh, yes. Well, yeah, I took, let's see, I lived in St. Louis County, and in our school, high school, small school, there were, I think, about 200 students in the high school. A friend of mine there had a cousin that she kept talking about who played the piano. So I finally heard her play there was this conservatory in St. Louis, you know, a preparatory school like, and she was leaving to go to the Illinois Wesleyan for a music degree, so I took lessons that summer from her before she left. That was my beginning.
What'd she teach you?
What?
What did she teach you?
Oh, well, I started, my triumph of the summer was the Beethoven Sonata. That was one of the first pieces I played. The easy sonata, this one here. And this piece, that Carl Philipp Emanuel Bach piece. And
Still remember all of that?
oh yeah, but it's there. I've heard it so often. That's a standard for early piano study. So since coming out here, I've heard it many, many times at the contests and judging things. And so I did that summer. She also gave me a rudimentary course in history and theory, sort of harmony. Then I enrolled at the Krieger School of Music. That was an old established school in St. Louis, founded by a man named, Ernest Krieger. He was in charge of all music at the St. Louis World's Fair, 1903. And he died about 1933, I think. But he was a force. He was nationally recognized, and he had honorary degrees and all of those things. And he founded that school. And his daughter kept it going. She was a voice teacher. So I studied there at that school, and then after a while I taught for them too.
Really?
Taught at the school. And I traveled around St. Louis, going to the homes, teaching piano. People did that more in those days. And I remember even as a child, the family doctor coming to our house. That was miles from his office, you know. So I spent hours, and I probably spent more time on buses than I did practicing in St. Louis. They travel all over, and so that was my beginning.
So how did you end up in Europe from there?
Pardon?
How did you end up going to Europe from there?
Oh, well, I couldn't. I wanted to go away to school, actually I wanted to go to Illinois Wesleyan, that had a big music department. but it was too expensive, so I just stayed home and taught and paid. I paid my own way through the university in the St. Louis Institute of Music, and I finished a master's degree there, a bachelor and master's, and then of course, by then I hadn't ever been away from home, really. So I wanted to go someplace. And so I applied for Fulbright and won that. I applied 1 year and didn't get it. I was an alternate. They have alternates. I had applied that year for Vienna. So the following year, I wasn't too enthused about doing it again, but the man, my advisor at the institute, urged me to do it. So I applied for Munich and got that one. So then I stayed 3 semesters there. And one of the singers in our group, Fulbright, who was older though, a woman, she was really in her, she wasn't really a student anymore. She was almost on the edge of being a real professional, you know. She applied for going on tour in Germany as in the U.S. Information Center. They sponsored something called America House. That was a propaganda. It was a high-tone propaganda, really. But you could. Thornton Wilder went on tour for them. You know, famous people. But they expanded, and little towns could have concert series for nothing. You know, they didn't have to pay. The American government would pay. So we applied for that. She got that to go on tour. So and I played for her concerts and played a group on each of her concerts. I'd play something and or a group of pieces, and we gave about 30 concerts all over Germany, traveling, and that was very, you know, just like the international people. I mean, if Rubinstein had been there, he would have received the same treatment we did. The mayor would come, and then after the concert we'd go out and have food and wine or beer or something. Go to the we went to in little towns, some of them small. I remember one where they had a town crier announcing our concert, but instead of ringing a bell, I think he was playing a drum, going around the streets. It was cold, icy weather. That was in the wine district near Worms, I remember. But it was a marvelous way to see Germany and meet all different kinds of people.
So where'd you go after that?
Well, then I came back to the United States and applied for positions. There weren't many openings at all. So I applied and didn't get anything. The only thing that I could have, the only thing that was offered me then was a position at the Spokane Conservatory, and it wasn't really college level, though they could give a degree, but it was such a small place. It would have been somewhat like the teaching I had done before I went to Europe.
Right.
But I couldn't see just going back to St. Louis as if nothing had happened. So I did that. I went to Spokane and stayed there 2 years. But it was a financial hardship. I got into debt because I had to buy the class. You know how doctors maybe sell their practice and that sort. And so then went back to St. Louis and worked in a music store for a year and a half. Then I got a fellowship to Illinois University for working on a doctorate, which I started in 1958. But I have never finished it. But it was a long, all sorts of things happened by accident and so on during that time. And so I taught at the University of Alabama in the midst of that doctorate study, and Then I went back to work some more on it, and I came out here, and I've just been here ever since.
It's kind of
Now
like
I'm ready to start over again.
yeah, this place is kind of like flypaper, isn't it?
Well, I don't know. People I think if there's a group of people that just stay for a year or two there. Then if there are other groups, I've known people who claim that they planned to stay only a year or two, but here they're still here, you know, and they don't have any plans to move or anything. There used to be more transient there. When I came here, this was a place where, I was told, this was a place where young salesmen would be sent, you know, to get experience, travel all around. And, and I met several people like that. They represented some company or something. They had an office here and they were selling things.
Fuller Brush.
Yeah, or I don't know what all, but let's see. I remember someone from Scotland.
Really?
What was his name?
Selling bagpipes.
Oh, no, he just... I forgot. I think it would be not anything especially for farming or anything. I don't think there's a... We did have someone here who could play the bagpipes. I don't know if we still do. Anyone. But they always have bagpipes at military funerals, don't they? Wonder why they do that.
I don't know.
I don't find that to be very comforting to hear bagpipes.
No.
I thought the string quartet would be nice.
They probably do it because it's easy to carry around.
Yeah, I suppose then it's outside, and it can certainly be heard.
Right. I don't know why they do that either.
It looks good, I think, you know, very colorful and everything. Better than having a piano on a truck bed. Or the violins, you could have painted stringed instruments, different colors and so on.
So I was going to ask you whether you could explain remember when we used to take like 3 and put them against 4 and so on and so forth?
Oh, 3 against 2 against 3, 3 against 4?
Yeah.
Compounded.
I've got about 20 minutes left, so.
Oh my goodness sakes.
On here. If you could just
I'll have to talk
that.
extremely slowly. Well, let's see. How's the best? Whenever you have complex rhythms, one or a compounded one on top of the other, you always think the one with the smallest notes, so that if you have 2 against 3, you think 3. And if you have 3 against 4, think 4. And if you have others, it's hard to, anything more than that is, unless it's really slow, it's hard to think. But because it's easier to fit a smaller, let's see, I don't know, it's not a smaller, but a thirds, it's easier to fit thirds into fourths rather than try to scatter the fourths over 3 parts. So that 2 against 3, of course, I used to have something, a little rhyming, a little rhythmic statement for 2 against 3, and it was not difficult. Not difficult would be the 3. Triple third one. Not difficult, not difficult. Or you can think between the 2 and 3, just sandwich the second of the 2 between the second and third of the 3. four, you think four, and of course ones are together, and then two of the four, you count four, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, and two of the three, well, if you were to have the least common denominator, it would be 12 in twelfths.
Where you come back and they'll meet up again, right?
So that each fourth gets 3 little parts of the 12th, and each third gets 4. So that they both start on 1, and the second note of the 4 group starts on part 4 of the 12, and the second note of the 3 group starts. No, I've got it. I thought I turned it around. It's so 1, 2, 3. Each fourth gets 3 parts, and each third gets 4 parts. So that the second fourth, the first fourth uses up 3 parts, and the second fourth starts on part number 4, and the second of the third starts on part number 5. So it works out that they just barely miss each other. So the easiest thing to do is to count 4 and make a sound for the 3s, like 1, 2, and 3 to 4. 1, 2, and 3 to 4. 1, 2, and 3 to 4. 1.
You know, I can't hardly believe that I was able to do that at one time.
Oh, well, I think you did it quite well and readily, I thought, at the time.
Yeah, and I'm trying to remember how it is that I got that into my brain too.
Oh, I don't know. You were much younger then.
That's what it is.
Too late now.
Yeah.
Let's see, so what they fingers. That's 4 against 5.
Because we did all those. We did 2 against 3. We did 3 against 4, and I'm pretty sure we did 4 against 5 as well.
There's nothing for 4 against 5.
I mean, yeah, you know what I mean.
But that 4 against 5, I don't count that. I just throw them together and hope for the best.
I don't remember what it was that I did to get that in my mind.
Oh, didn't we? I think we tapped it and did all the things. You see.
So was I focusing on the smaller groups or the bigger groups?
On the highest number, like if it's 3s and
if it's 2s and 3s, you're thinking 3s.
Mm-hmm.
And if it's 4s and 3s, you're thinking 4s. If it's 5s and 4s, you're thinking 5s.
See, music, because our sense of time is we can't divide time mentally. The humans, we can't do it. I don't think anybody can, but I've never seen anybody. Like space, you can divide spaces. If you look at that wall, you can, and you want to hang a picture in the middle of it, you can get fairly close.
Right.
But to divide a time space from there till that moment, what's half of it? You know, there's no way. The only way you can do it is to structure it with little parts. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Then you can go and you can divide so that we can, I guess we can add things. We can't divide, subtract. We can't subtract.
So if I were to sit down and try to figure that out again against a metronome, I would be counting threes against the click if it were 2 against 3. I'd be counting fours if it were 3 against 4, right?
I wouldn't use the metronome though right away. It's so relentless, you know. You have to. You get used to. I would see. You have to. Maybe you have to teach. We've got that formula for doing that: 3 against 4 and 2 against 3. It's something you understand. You know, the design sort of.
Well, I remember trying it and feeling rather retarded for a number of times, and then there was just one day I came over here and it just kind of clicked.
Yeah, and you can. You sort of have to teach yourself. But I would do that physically through, you know. 1, 2, 3 to 4, 1, 2, 3 to 4. Keep that 4 going. The background is 12. So that makes them very close together. You know, your muscles think the pattern and do it real slowly so that your muscles will do it. Then you externalize it. You know, first you get a mental picture of it, and then you teach your muscles to do it. You do it. You teach yourself, really. If you have a clear, that's the whole piano practice is like that. If you have a clear image, aural image of something, even though you don't have finger. Of course, since you haven't played much piano, your fingering doesn't occur to you like it would to me.
Right.
I'm sort of used to it. So if I think a pattern, I could imagine how to do it right away. But I have to have a clear image of it, the pitches and the shape of everything in order to be confident.
So what happens with the 3s against 4 if you're going to just tap that out?
That was it. Or
you switch it around here. And what about the 2s and 3s?
That's really quite easy.
That one, yeah.
1, 2, and 3. 1, 2, and 3.
What about the 4s against 5s?
Oh, I just.
Just wing that?
Yeah, I can't think of a thing to say.
What if you tapped it out though? What would it be like?
Oh, I'm tapping it out. Let's see. Think 5 though. 5 is rather difficult. I think it's harder than any other rhythm to think.
Really?
Yeah, because 7 is big enough. It divides into
3s
4
and
plus
4s,
3 or 3 plus 4.
right.
But 5.
Did you ever do 2, 2, and 3? Would you ever do that? Or 2, 3, and 2? Or would you ever do that?
2, 4. Well, yeah, you could. There's music like that. Yeah. Yeah, but then if you get that rhythm going and then try to put another one against it, I'd have to practice, you know, that. But let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. No. It doesn't help. It's easier to do it with sounds.
That one's pretty tricky.
Yeah, let's see.
What's a piano part that you can think of that's like that? Is there anything you can think of that's like that?
Oh no, I don't know. Let me think now, just a minute. There's nothing with 4 against 5. There are lots of 5s, you know.
You know, I think I sat down and tried to play just 2 different notes and 3 different notes. I think that's what I did. I think that's what I did to get that down.
You mean like,
I would just, yeah, and I would do 2 and then I'd do 3 in the other hand.
oh,
You know, I think I kind of remember doing that. Because it took me forever to figure that out. It wasn't easy.
well,
And now I forgot it, which kind of annoys me.
well, oh, you can do that again, that's not so bad. Now, what I think is difficult though is Chopin nocturnes, where you have a large group of notes that has to fit in someplace.
Like where you cram in a certain group.
Yeah, and it has, of course, has to sound absolutely
Mm-hmm.
relaxed, and as if you're sliding. It's an accident, but miraculously comes out on. Let's see. Here's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Here's one that's 22 against 12. That was 11 against 6. Although when you play it, you wouldn't, you might give longer, you know, you don't make it.
Everything's right.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It slides around and it's,
Mm-hmm.
you're not supposed to peg it down into bunches. You know, it's supposed to be free as if, and just by accident,
Right.
it comes off perfectly.
Which piece is it?
This nocturne, yeah. Very romantic. That's the easy one though, 2 against 3. Of course you wouldn't, you know, it should
Sure.
disguise the those uneven. I don't know. That's a specialty. That's sort of like an opera singer. Chopin was inspired by opera singer. For example, with his fioritura. Well, let me see. Oh, I can't do it without all of that. I can't. It's like holding. I have to practice that.
It looks like you need a lot of practice to nail that.
Well, I had to play. I tried to play it too softly, and nothing happened. That sort of thing. You know, it's. You've heard this. So now this time it goes all. It sort of makes the audience hold their breath.
Mm-hmm.
That's the effect I think he wants to have. That. Here's the first one.
tape.
Oh, that's all right. I can't.
I think I need to come over here earlier and bring more than one tape.
Oh no, I'm out of my material now. No. The only inexhaustible thing is the repertoire.
Yeah.
I can't.
See, this is what I'm talking about, though. You know, just come over, set this up, and just
Oh, okay. But I make all sorts of mistakes. I mean, it's not
doesn't
like
matter.
it's only for, it's not for the public, is it?
Well, it's more so for me, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You know.
But you know, it's I wouldn't. Oh well, I'm not. If I were giving a lecture or something, I couldn't play like this. You know, I'd have to practice a lot, so that the examples wouldn't contradict everything I finished saying.
Well, what's today's date? Today is May 1st.
May 1st.
2008. You've got a birthday coming up. The 9th? Is it the 9th?
9th, yeah. All those notes.
Mm-hmm. Well, tell everybody goodbye for May 1st.
Oh, goodbye goodbye
On
April,
May Day.
goodbye Chopin, goodbye. Oh, May Day is
May Day.
I could have called out May Day in a distressed way when during the Chopin.
Well, hopefully we'll see you next week then. All right?
Yeah, I guess so. See, is that the day, the 9th? No, that's...
That's 8 days from today. So next Friday's your birthday.
Oh,
Right.
today's the 1st.
Yeah,
And
so-
7, 8. Oh,
well-
yeah, Friday, yeah, okay.
All right. I'm out.
I'm gonna play, I could play 32 variations on Happy Birthday.
There you go. We'll do that next time.